Stop everything! There is a cursed forest of petrified trees in Utah. It's called the Escalante Petrified Forest, and over the past few million years, the trees have turned to stone, and depending on the minerals that had soaked into the wood while it was alive, these precious stones can turn into beautiful abstract displays of color. Pretty neat. Everyone who enters the park is excited and full of wonder, but quickly, they start to see the literal warning signs around the park that this place is not to be messed with. Please do not take anything from this place. Video surveillance. Do not steal rocks. And as you exit through the gift shop, one final sign saying all who take from this place become cursed. And if you talk to the rangers, that sign is reinforced by the hundreds of pieces of petrified wood that they get back in the mail each year, with written letters begging for them to be put back into place. Bad luck, cancer, even death has plagued all who take from this hallowed place, which reinforces my belief that you should never mess with really, really, really old stuff.
This is the real house from the haunting in Connecticut. The family moved in without knowing it was a former mortuary. Do you think it's still haunted?
Imagine waking every night to the screams of your young son, only to know that he died more than a year ago. In 2008, a mother starts waking up every night to the sound of her screaming son. But her son was taken in one of the most horrific ways when an intruder broke into their family home and ripped her son through the bedroom window. She couldn't save him, she couldn't find him, and he'd never return again. But every night he screams for her, begging her to come and save him from the man that took him, the man that killed him. But it won't be until 2019 that this mother will find out the truth. She'll find that her little boy's body is sealed in a bag, stuffed in the walls of the very house she lives in. And although her husband's yet to admit it, she'll soon discover that it was him who took their son's life that night for insurance money.
The incredible hanging coffins of Sada. Hundreds of wooden coffins dangle from cliff sides and caves. These are located in the Philippines and they are absolutely incredible. They have been performing burials like this for over 2,000 years, with some coffins being over a century old. They believe that the higher the dead are placed, the better chance of a great afterlife.
Behind me is the haunted Garnet House. We're going to be doing an investigation here overnight, but first I want to give you a tour. So this house not only served as a hotel, but it also served as a doctor's office, and this is one of the original operating tables or doctor's tables from the house. Now you remember downstairs on the operating table there was an axe. I'm going to tell you the story on why that axe is here. Up these stairs into the attic is where somebody used to stay. The person that was staying in this room was said to come down these stairs one night, go to one of the neighbor ladies, and murder her with the axe. They have a bunch of these dolls just kind of sitting along the ledge, and they've actually caught these dolls falling off randomly on their own. These are some more dolls that they have set up. One of these actually fell down and hit one of the investigators in the back of the head randomly while they were investigating. There is a lot of activity that happens here, ranging from EVPs, shadows, knocks, bangs, footsteps, you name it, this place has it. So follow along as we investigate.
Cathedral High School in LA was built over Calvary Cemetery. The cemetery had its last burial in 1886, but soon became a site for grave robbery and illegal body dumping. Later in 1925, it was decided that the land would become a school, but the school was built over graves and no bodies were removed. When the school stadium was built in 2007, graves were unearthed and they're actually still displayed at the school. And the school's team was called the Phantoms. Most students and teachers don't report any paranormal activity, but maintenance workers do. Many maintenance workers have reported seeing apparitions, hearing strange noises, feeling a presence, and have experienced weird cold spots. And these have all been night shift maintenance workers.
Imagine being this close to death and not even knowing it. Walking past his parents' bedroom, a young teenager sticks his head in and says, "Good night, guys. See you in the morning." With only a muffled response back, "Good night." The very next morning, the same young man walks past his parents' room. Again, pops his head in and says, "Morning, guys." But seeing they both look asleep, he leaves and goes to school. But after school and for the next 2 nights, Marcus goes to a friend's house for a sleepover. His friend's mum sends Marcus's mum a text to let her know, and quickly gets a response saying, "No problems, thanks for having him." But upon his return a few days later, Marcus notices a weird smell in the house. He calls out to his parents and says, "I'm home, guys," and hears a male voice say, "We're in our room, son." But as Marcus gets to their bedroom door, he notices the smell's even worse. As he goes to enter, he hears a knock at the door, turns and goes and answers it. At the door is his father's boss. He says, "Your father hasn't been at work for almost a week." He smells the smell and pulls Marcus out of the house and calls the police. When they arrive, they find a madman in the room.
Do you recognize this house? This is the real Amityville horror house where Ronald DeGifio Jr. killed his family. Why did the Lutz family move out of this house 28 days after moving in? Is the Amityville horror house haunted? Would you live in this house?
In 2012, a man slow-cooked his wife for 4 days after accidentally killing her. One day, Dawn and David Viennes got into an argument, and instead of handling it like an adult, he bound her legs and arms and covered her mouth in duct tape, took a sleeping pill, and then went and took a nap. When he woke up, he found her lying there dead. He later admitted to the police that he slow-cooked his wife for 4 days. He then, quote-unquote, strategically placed it in with other debris, and then he sent it down the grease pit at the couple's restaurant. He was obviously found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison.
Sada Hotel was formerly a convent and is now said to be very haunted. Many have said to see the apparition of nuns, as well as the sound of someone calling their names even though no one is around. Objects have been said to move around by themselves. There are strange cold spots. People have said to hear footsteps in the ballroom. They sound like they're running, but no one is in there. It is even said that one of the spirits there assumes the form of a living employee, but it cannot talk and it tricks customers all the time.
I have been getting so many requests to do the Red Room viral scary story, so if you're in the mood to get scared, keep watching. Red Room is actually based off of a Japanese urban legend about a window that pops up when you're surfing the internet, and if you close the window, it's said that you will die. Keep in mind, this is just an urban legend, this is not real. The story goes like there was a boy who was addicted to the internet. One day he was surfing the internet after school when a window popped up. At first it just said, "Do you like?" and he X'd it out. It popped up again, but this time it said, "Do you like the Red Room?" He kept closing the tab, but it kept popping back up. Eventually, when it popped up, he heard a childlike voice say out loud, "Do you like the Red Room?" The boy then felt a presence behind him, and then everything went black. It turns out the boy had been slaughtered, and his walls were painted red with his blood. I'm gonna say it one more time because I know there's still gonna be people in my comments asking if this is real or not. It's not real, it's just a made-up story.
My brother grew up being terrified of water. I'm 4 years older than him, and during the nightly battle for bath time, when he was about 3 or 4, I asked him why he is so scared of the water. Being a water baby, as my mom put it, I just didn't understand. He looked at me, and I remember this word for word. I was in a big unsinkable ship. We hit the biggest iceberg, and then it was really busy, and then I got really cold and wet. I went to a warm, bright place and waited until my next family came. My mom heard it all and decided bath time was over. Creepy thing is, my brother was born April 15 of 1992. The Titanic sunk April 15th of 1912.
There is a creepy lost episode of Barney that a father swears he caught his kids watching. One day he was looking at the TV guide when he saw that it said a lost episode of Barney was going to air at 7 p.m. He asked his kids if they wanted to watch, and they said yes. They all sat down to watch it, and the theme song started playing, but something wasn't right about it. It almost sounded like the song was being whispered. The episode started as it usually did, the kids holding the Barney doll that suddenly comes to life. But when Barney started talking, he sounded slightly weird. It sounded like two people were talking at once. His normal voice and one that sounded darker and scarier. And suddenly he said,
"Hi kids, today I'm going to talk to you about death."
So one of the kids asked him,
"Barney, what's death?"
He then chuckled and said,
"This is."
With his face suddenly turning angry, his teeth growing long, and then he eats the child. And then he proceeds to chase all the other children around trying to eat them throughout the rest of the episode. And then at the very end of the episode, he sang the "I Love You" song as if nothing happened.
Do you know about the abandoned gingerbread castle? It once was a fairy tale themed amusement park, and now sits in ruins. Are the rumors true? Will the gingerbread castle live happily ever after?
At this exact location, the events that would be known as the Demon Murder Trials unfolded. Arnie Cheyenne Johnson had been present for an exorcism performed on his fiance's brother David Glatzel, who had fell victim to demonic possession. The Glatzels reached out to famed demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren to conduct the exorcism with the aid of several priests. Arnie taunted the demon to leave David and possess him instead. Just months following, a heated argument and several drinks on February 16, 1981, ended with Arnie Cheyenne Johnson stabbing his landlord multiple times at this Brookfield, Connecticut location. Ultimately, Arnie would end up stabbing Alan Bono 20 times with one cut extending from his stomach to his heart. Several days before Halloween, Johnson stood before this courthouse with an unusual defense: "The devil made me do it." The Warrens supported this claim, and although his defense didn't hold up in legal proceedings, Arnie would only see 5 years behind bars.